bits per second or something that determines the speed and the time and everything.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
y'all.
Oh, y'all.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
All right. Welcome to Indiana Rocks. Oh, been looking forward to this episode for so long.
Yes.
And we've been trying to get it on the air for so
Yes.
long. All right.
It's
Go ahead.
Gonna happen tonight.
It's gonna happen tonight. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that positivity.
Yeah.
Here's what's okay. So here's what happened. What happened was Friday we had an interview scheduled with legendary bass player Mark CAWLEY, and Mel couldn't be here. I did the interview. It was an excellent interview. It was the first time we had recorded on Zoom since I let my Zoom Pro expire. You don't need to know what that is, but that's an upgrade, and you can't, and you don't record. It doesn't automatically record like it did. I didn't realize that, and like an hour later, when I did what I had scheduled afterwards, come back and checked, and there's no recording. So last night live, we tried to recreate the interview. Did an excellent job, by the way.
Yeah.
You
I
were,
thought it was good.
You were killer. And the Xfinity line, our internet was not the greatest, and thus while viewable and watchable, it was not
viewable or watchable.
It was not viewable or watchable from my standpoint. So we're back with the third time's a charm.
Yes,
third time's a charm, and we're talking about Mark CAWLEY. Now, the title and most of the viewers, especially Indiana viewers, the title is correct. Legendary Mark CAWLEY, bass player from the Faith Band.
Yeah.
Around the world.
Yeah, he's more known as Mark CAWLEY songwriter.
Exactly.
Yes.
Bass player's probably the last thing he's known at, except for here in Indiana. But
although he is a very, very good
bass player, always going to be in the Bass Players Brotherhood.
Yeah.
The first bass player we've actually had on the show.
Yeah.
We've had drummers, we've had guitarists, we've had keyboard players.
Yeah.
First bass player we've had on the show. And excellent interview, and going to kind of recap that. But in order to do that, I thought we'd talk about a little bit about the history of what made Mark CAWLEY, a legend.
Yeah.
And because the Faith Band's legendary, Roadmaster's legendary, Mellencamp's legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pillars of music in general, and specifically here in Indiana. And the lore is, it starts with the chosen few, goes to Limousine, and goes to Faith. Yeah. But that's not really exactly how it all happened.
Yeah.
It all unfolded. Yeah. You got to go back a little bit farther. But you know what? Before we do that, before we go back, I want to go back to last week real quick, if I could. And last Thursday night, we had kind of a surprise Indiana Rocks episode, and it was whoa. Okay, that of course, that's it. I don't even know where that's coming from. Oh, that's our commercial from last week. My bad. Hold on just a second. Well, we're, we haven't blown the whole episode yet. Just, yeah, I wasn't sure where that music was coming from.
Yeah.
It's Monty Jackson.
Wait a minute, that
It's
sounds
coming
familiar.
from coming from Monty Jackson and
Yeah.
and Dave Barnes.
Barnstorm.
And all right, let's try that again. Let's go back. Let's go back to last week, last Thursday night, and we weren't anticipating this happening, but we got to watch one of, if not the first, actual performance from Barnstorm.
Yes.
Barnstorm features Dave Barnes, who was the drummer in the Chosen
Band.
Few, Limousine, and
the
Faith Band. But we've got a question, and we're going to have Dave on. Yeah, and we're going to have Dave on. So we need to ask Barnesy how his end of that, because that's one thing we don't have.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully Carl will come along.
Yes. So Dave Barnes was they were at the Governor Davis Memorial Jam.
Yes.
We went there to video and try to help Marty Weaver get this thing off the ground. These guys show up. We do a live. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. What you're looking at on the screen is Dave Barnes behind one of the coolest backdrops for a band ever. This place has like these 4 screens in there.
Yeah, it's great. And it looks like an aquarium back there, like you're like in the middle of it.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Marty Weaver's also playing on this, and there was one other guitar player playing with them.
I don't know.
That I'm not sure who it was. That we didn't in the course of the night didn't say hello, hi, how are you, or anything like that. There again, the lore is that this all started with the Chosen Few, and it's just name changes have happened that the Chosen Few became the Faith Band. According to AI, which while scary, is not always accurate. Chosen Few refers to a few different entities in Indiana. One is a mid-1960s garage band from Muncie, originally named the Invincibles.
All right.
Have you ever heard of them?
No.
No. But later renamed the Chosen Few.
All right.
Okay. And then they later released, they signed RCA and later reformed as Limousine, but that's not what actually happened. That's not what really happened. The guys that they were talking about, the guys that started in the garage, so to speak, they were Jack Hamilton, Rich Berman, Steve Baba, and Steve Nephew. Baba's the only one that I knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know any of these other guys?
I never met him. No.
I mean,
Jack Hamilton.
Right, because of playing with the so this is the original lineup known as
the Chosen Few.
No, they were known as the Invincibles.
Oh, the Invincibles.
Yeah, this is
soon to become.
Soon to become. Yeah. Let's make sure that. Okay, make sure this is just checking to see if this is showing on the screen. And it appears to be. All right. I don't think we are.
No.
It doesn't look like we're showing on the screen. Maybe they got us down here in a little bitty tiny. They do. They got us down here in a little bitty tiny space. And that's all right for now. We'll switch it. Actually, we'll go ahead and switch it while we're here. And hopefully, there we go. Hopefully we'll be up here and not little bitty tiny. But if you're on a phone, that's going to make it hard for you. You're going to have to watch on your big screen. Everybody
Yeah.
needs to watch this on the big screen.
Yeah.
So the actual the four originals, Jack Hamilton, Rich Berman, Steve Baba, Steve Nephew, these were the original chosen few. John Casella joined the band in '66, and that's when they became the chosen few in the winter months of 1967.
Yeah.
Then Carl Story joined in the summer or fall of '67, so 6 to 9 months later.
Yeah. So they had two lead vocalists.
Giving the band two lead vocalists, and it says a boost to their stage presence. Carl,
Yeah.
stage
Well,
presence.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah. Enough said.
You know,
you know who he is as soon as he opens his mouth.
the voice is
He,
unique, recognizable,
absolutely,
soulful, powerful.
Yeah. All those and more.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty.
He's just a perfect front man.
And if you don't know who we're talking about, this is him right here when he's probably 15 years old, maybe. Carl Story with, yeah, there we go. Pants, vest matching the pants.
Oh yeah,
those were cool back in that day.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
So it gave the band two lead vocalists. Three Dog Night had three vocalists, thus Three Dog Night.
Yeah.
But having two vocalists, it's not uncommon. Obviously, Three Dog Night, Fleetwood Mac, Heart. A lot of bands have.
Yeah. Lots of vocalists.
But
Little River Band. Oh.
Yeah, Eagles.
Vocal. Yeah.
I mean,
5-part harmony.
Yeah, but from what I saw and knew of Haji Baba and what I saw and knew of Carl, they were yin and yang.
Yeah, they were totally different.
Yeah. All right, so this is where we're at. John Casella has joined the band. Carl Story joins, and they are the chosen few. They're not so. They haven't replaced anybody yet, but this is where things take a turn. And you know, the chosen few 45s on the denim label, the rear of a Hammond B3 organ. When we're always talking about lifting Hammond B3 organs, that's what one looks like without the back on it, so that it can be tweaked a little bit to gain a little bit more wattage. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
This is where things change. All of a sudden, the chosen few in 1969, Johnny Casella's still there, Carl's still there. So they've been there for 2 years. Jack Hamilton's an original chosen few. So he was the few of the few.
Yeah.
Because the other chosen few aren't chosen anymore.
Yeah.
And
the chosen one.
You know, being in a band is kind of like being in a marriage. You know, you got to be dedicated to it. You got to sacrifice for it. You got to care about it. You got and when all of a sudden you started this band and it's like, well, you know, sorry, you're not Jack. You're not the bass player anymore. Dave Bennett is going to play guitar now. So the guy that was a guitarist is out hammering, smashing Dave Barnes. Power driver lays down a groove and it does not move. Groove master. And This is the chosen few. Jack Hamilton on bass, the last remaining player, and they did a lot of touring around Indiana as
Yeah,
the
they
chosen
did.
few.
Yeah.
They had, as I'm going to show here, they have an album with R.C. Victor. There's Carl. There's Benny, Johnny, Jack, and Barnsey. And we're going to do an episode on Bennett.
Yeah.
On Dave Bennett, and we'll see if we can get some guitar player friends of ours that actually worked with him to come on. You know who we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
But I don't want to.
We know a few.
We know a few. So this is the chosen few, and the chosen few. We're going to do an episode on Bennett. The reason I mention that is because there is a story, a legendary story of Indiana Beach and Dave Bennett.
Yes.
And the Who.
And the Who.
And the Who.
And Keith Moon.
Keith Moon. He's also, never mind.
Yeah.
Santa's been the Christmas of Kalamazoo. Or Elvis is spending Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Santa does spend Christmas, by
Yeah.
the way. So these guys played all over the place, including locally where they're from. And Muncie, Indiana happened to be like the crossing point here. And I know this is the Mark CAWLEY episode, and this is where Mark comes into the history, and from here on, it's nothing but, you know,
limousine and faith.
So Carl and the chosen few are playing in Muncie, and it just so happens that Mark's band from New York is playing in Muncie at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The name of the band, killer name,
Beggars Opera.
Beggars Opera. What a great name for a band. All right.
They were a great band.
And Carl and the boys saw Mark play Beggars Opera play. Beggars Opera saw Chosen Few play. They went, hey,
this is a match made in
heaven. We can make something with this.
Yeah.
Because Mark CAWLEY is a master songwriter and has been all along.
And Carl's a
very
good songwriter himself.
Yeah, and the guys in the band.
Yeah, they're all excellent at what they do.
So Jack Hamilton is out as bass player.
Yeah.
And Mark joins the chosen few for a couple of gigs, a few gigs, and they changed the name because none of them are, none of them were the original. You know, the four guys that were the chosen few were probably pretty salty, you know. I don't know if anybody out there sees this that knew, the original four guys. We've tried to look them up, and I don't think any of them are still around. But I would like to get that into the story.
Yeah, that would be great.
So we know that there was a band called the Cutaways in Henry County.
My brother Jack.
Your brother Jack was in the band. Who played bass in that band?
Dave Bennett.
Dave Bennett played bass.
Actually, my mother signed for him to get his first bass.
Yeah.
At Hornies.
In Newcastle, Indiana, for those that don't know, it's where I got my first bass.
But he played bass for them. And
he had a unique amplifier.
Yeah, it was built into the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, you set the case up and open it up.
And plug it in and do. Well, obviously, the bass was not going to be his main instrument.
Yeah, right.
Although he was incredibly talented playing the
Basically,
bass.
he could play anything.
And he leaves the Cutaways, and Dave Barnes was not in the Cutaways.
No.
Okay. So the only question, Dave Bennett leaves the Cutaways and joins the Chosen Few, and back, we kind of overlooked that part of it,
Yeah.
but that's how Dave got into the band. So we've talked about how Dave got in, how Carl got in, how Johnny got in, how Mark got in.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure where Dave, Barnes,
I'm not sure about that either.
how Barnesy got. So that's something that we want to see.
I think he was in the Dynamics.
Okay, he was in Dave and the Dynamics.
Yeah, I think he was in that one of those.
With Dave Bennett.
Yeah, because they were Dave and the Dynamics, and they were just the Dynamics.
Okay, and the Cutaways before that or after that?
Before that.
Okay, the Cutaways. So Dave went
from the first band was the Cutaways.
Okay, so the Cutaways became Dave and the Dynamics, and I bet you.
Yeah, that's when Dave.
Yeah, because Dave and Dave Bennett, Dave Barnes had similar styles of,
Yeah.
You have to hold them back or them boys are going to rock.
Yeah. Well, they're Newcastle guys.
Newcastle guys, of course.
Two guys was from Newcastle.
Well, Newcastle, it's kind of like you say, everybody from Indiana must be from Indianapolis, and everybody from Henry County must be from Newcastle.
Yeah.
But they're little towns out there that, Yeah.
Places that are forbidden because of the evilness and the nightlife, like Kennard. Kennard, Indiana.
Kennard's known for getting wiped off the map by a tornado, not necessarily for its nightlife anymore. Now back in your day, you was patrolling the streets of Kennard looking for crime and evil.
Looking for anything.
There
wasn't nothing there. Well, at least then there was a grocery store.
Yeah.
Now there's nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, they had the candy store too.
And there's a lot of little
candies. It was a
Goods Candies. Oh. Yeah, they moved to Anderson, didn't they?
Yeah, and they changed the name, and it's something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, but I heard it.
Wasn't as good as Goods.
Same. Yeah, because this was hand dipped.
Yeah.
The new stuff is machines doing all the hard work.
Okay. All right. So we are in Muncie, Indiana. This lineup of the Chosen Few is playing at some venue, and it's maybe not even on the same night. And then the Beggar's Opera against, such a great name for a band. And you happened to see Beggar's Opera.
Yeah, I saw him at.
How did that happen? Did you go specifically to like, hey, we're going to go see this band from New York called Beggar's Opera?
I don't know what I think we had to have got some kind of tip off.
Yeah,
that these guys were really, really good.
Probably through the Chosen Few.
Yeah, and we just showed up.
Dave probably told Jack. Jack probably told you. You said, I ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, we went out there and Mark, Vinny Malcarney was the guitar player, and they were just great.
Vinny also did work with Faith Band on some of the records, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and he was really good. He was in a band called Target. Here, they did draft races and all that stuff. Yeah, but they were just really good, and I'm glad he got together with the Chosen Few guys and changed them into
the Faith Band.
Limousine.
Yeah, and actually they cut a record they cut a record as Limousine. Where's it at? All right. I thought I had it here. Carl Story.
Yeah, Carl Story.
Story.
Yeah.
Not the same guy.
No.
And we can't play any of the music because
we get sued.
we get we get copywritten, and we've been through that.
Yeah.
Mel's sitting right here beside me. We play one of Mel's songs. We played a Primeval
song that I played on.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Mel was drummer in Primeval and a lot of other bands, currently Project 19. If you don't know who Primeval was, they were kind of the Metallica. Before Metallica, they were heavy metal. Before heavy metal, they scared the crap out of parents. They put this demonic label on them and called themselves Primeval. And Mel dressed up with like long eyelashes and makeup and fishnet. And oh no, that was no, you didn't.
That was Larry.
Oh, are you sure? Never mind. I'm not going to say. No, he dressed up like a pirate. Never mind.
Arr, arr.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Did you?
The songster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure. No, he didn't dress up like that. He dressed up like a pirate.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke. So this is one of my favorite album covers of all time. I'm going to pull it up here.
There it is.
Right there. Yeah.
And it is the Limousine album in different order and remixed.
Right. So they became Limousine for almost a year.
Yeah.
And this is, can you tell from the back? That's Johnny Casella.
There's Carl.
This is, huh?
No, that's probably.
That's CAWLEY.
Yeah, there's Mark.
There's Mark. He doesn't like to be called CAWLEY. One of them's Barnes.
That must be him because there's.
I think this is Bennett and this is Carl.
Yeah.
I never thought about it before until just now. But
yeah.
So this is, they were Limousine. They put out an 8-song album and it was remixed and remastered.
Yeah, put in different order.
And the order of songs was rotated and it became this album here. Obviously, whoever had this album has played it. And, you can tell the.
That's what Terry Knight did.
That's what Terry Knight. For those that don't know, Terry Knight is the force behind Grand Funk Railroad.
Yeah. And
he kind of took Faith Band.
Yeah.
Under his tutelage. Yeah. And put out a great album. Then they had let me see. Let's go back to this one, I think. Nope. Oh, shit. I thought I closed this. I thought I closed the studio. The next, they put out 4 more albums. And let me go back here. Okay, never mind. They put out 4 more albums. The next one was Excuse Me, I Just Got an Album.
Yeah.
Then
Rock and Romance.
Rock and Romance and Face to Face. And then Vital Signs, I think were the 4.
Okay.
So Where are we at? There we go. All right. Want to make sure we're still see where we're at. Okay, time wise, we're all right. Um, during that period, you mentioned Vinny playing with them a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, Mark told me that Michael Murphy from
Yes.
Mario
Yeah.
played with them and was almost like an unofficial member. How often he jammed with them live, and
Like Billy Preston.
Yeah.
Beatles.
Yeah. And he got an offer to record an album in L.A. and took the Faith guys with him to be his backing band on the album. And during that time period, that's when they were given the name, excuse me, I just cut an album. And you know who gave him that name?
Who?
The guy that was producing Michael Murphy's album.
Oh, okay.
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh. Yes.
Joe Walsh.
Wow.
He says, Mark says he and Carl were talking with him. He said, we got an album, a brand new album coming out. We need a great name for it. And he gave them two names, and one of them was
Joe Walsh.
Excuse me, I just got an album.
Yeah.
So that's how the Faith Band that's how that album title came into existence. There is no song called Excuse Me, I Just Got an Album. And normally the title, the title of the album is normally one of the songs. So they played and they got popular. They played with the Allman Brothers. They played with Fleetwood Mac. They played with Roadmaster a lot in festivals around here.
Oh yeah.
But they also traveled and played with some.
Oh yeah.
But Mark specifically mentioned those as two of his favorites. Was the Allman Brothers concert, and which we were both at.
Yeah, I saw that
at Market Square Arena.
Yeah.
And the Fleetwood Mac, the Fleetwood Mac concert, because they were a lot of fun, is what he said. I don't remember, they were just starting the tour in support of a new album, I think. But anyway, they didn't make it.
Yeah, they almost did.
I mean, they're obviously they're legends here.
Yeah,
and
I don't understand why.
You don't understand why they're legends?
No, I know that.
Oh, you don't understand why they
didn't make it.
Why they didn't make it?
Yeah. I just can't.
Neither one of them.
Yeah.
And Mark talked about that a little bit too. That there was a rivalry between the Faith Band and Roadmaster because they're on the same label.
Oh yeah.
They're from the same place. They're wanting the same things, airplay, and but it wasn't like, the
Stones and the Beatles.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, Biggie Small and Tupac.
Oh.
Where eventually you got to shoot one of the other ones. No, it was friendly, but at the same time, it was just natural.
Yeah,
it's kind of that way. If we're honest with ourselves as musicians, it's kind of that way.
Yeah.
Well, there's always, he didn't really play that good that night.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they didn't make it. And Mark, in my opinion, his songwriting kind of outgrew where the Faith Band was going to go and be.
Well, yeah.
So Mark moves to LA,
mm-hmm.
and he, with the help of an attorney out there, got his first song sold, and eventually he brought Carl and Johnny Casella with him to LA to record out there.
I remember they went to London.
They end up,
Yeah.
okay, they end up going, Carl and Mark end up going to England
Yeah.
and recording under Blinding Tears, I think was the name of the act. Or maybe, no, Blinding Tears was the name of the song, and it was CAWLEY and Story was who they recorded under.
Cool.
And then another one of our buddies, Mark Christopher Orman,
Yeah.
joins the Faith band.
Yeah.
And Faith continues on here. And to
And
this,
until John, you know,
yeah, until John joins.
passed away.
Well, no, John joined Mellencamp.
Yeah, yeah. But then the horrible thing.
Oh yeah, John passing away.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, but he did have a good stint there with Mellencamp.
Mark told a story about Johnny Casella, and Mark saw his accordion case, and it had New York State champion on it, you know. And Mark kept bugging him, get your accordion out. He's like, leave me alone, man. You know, the accordion's not cool. I'm not going to play the accordion. And then Mark is living in LA, recording and selling songs, and they go to the Forum to see Mellencamp on the Scarecrow tour, you know, and there's Toby Myers, there's Johnny Casella, there's drummer
Dane.
No,
Kenny Aronoff.
No, wait a minute, it might have been Dane then. I don't know if Kenny played on the Scarecrow.
I don't
know. Anyway, it was like, you know, it was like all these guys, you know, and here they are. Everybody's all together in LA, and how
kind of cool is that?
Yeah, kind of cosmic how everything came full circle.
Yeah.
And by the way, he has moved to Leslie.
Oh yeah,
and a Hammond B3 organ.
Couple flights of stairs. Yeah, that's always a treat.
Mark went on to write songs for some incredible people.
Yeah, big hits.
Yeah, and also you can find some of his songs that haven't been put out on SoundCloud if you go and look for Mark CAWLEY. One of my favorite songs that will you probably I'd like to think it would get put out, but it may not ever get put out. I just think it's just one of these songs that touched me, and I'm not sure why. It's September Rain. I don't know if I can play a little bit of this, but you can hear Casella.
Yeah.
You can tell. And this is Lisa. Also, you know, yeah.
Well, she lost another memory today. It was gone before she knew, slipped away. And it's days like this she sits alone and prays.
All right. That's all I'm going to play of it in case I do get copywritten. And it won't be Mark that will copy it. It's not like Mark's going to call and say, hey, Barry's using my song. He put 45 seconds of it on the internet.
That's a beautiful song.
It is. And again, it's one that, as far as I know, is not out there.
Kind of meant for Carl, man. He sounded awesome on there.
That's the thing about it, in my opinion. Mark's words fit Carl's voice.
Yeah.
You know, the way that Mark wrote was the way Carl sang. And not that, I mean, one of the ways Carl sang. Carl was very versatile.
Oh yeah.
You know, they rocked, especially doing the old 60s stuff that they would rock
man.
up.
Yeah, I remember they did a bang up version of Rockin' Robin.
Yeah.
They were awesome. Man.
Dirty Water was always one of
Oh.
my favorites to hear. You know, I love that dirty water.
They did the McCoys.
Boston, you're my home.
Daybreak by the McCoys.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, if you have kids, if you have grandkids, sit them down, get your phone out, turn them on to some music that you listen to if you've never done that. Roadmaster, Faith Band. If you think they might be little metalheads, turn them on to Primeval. Again, these guys were metal before it was metal. They were scaring little kids,
Scaring the parents. Yeah.
But the Faith Band,
They wouldn't make eye contact with us.
the parents wouldn't.
No.
Well, you guys long-haired hippie type.
Yeah. In that little town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or traveling on the road in a truck stop.
Yeah. Hey man. I want a taquito.
So, get this off of here. Sorry about that. I wasn't paying attention. So, songs by Mark CAWLEY, Billy Piper's Day and Night, Dancing in My Dreams. This is, of course,
Turner.
the incredible Tina Turner. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, she was electric.
The Spice Girls. Mark said the Spice Girls were one of his favorite acts to ever work with.
I bet.
He said they came in, they were not divas. They came in, they were energetic, they were prepared.
Cool.
Yeah. Be nice to have that every once in a while, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody's energetic and prepared.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing, is it?
Yeah.
I want to get down here because one of his songs, Wayward Soul, Joe Cocker,
Ooh.
the one and only. So, yeah, Mark has had success, incredible success as a songwriter. And again, while he's known as a bass player here, he's the bass player from the Faith Band. You know, the long blonde hair, and the girls loved all of them.
Oh yeah.
You know, he has sold his songs 16 million songs.
Wow.
I mean, 16 million. He's written songs that in total have sold 16 million records.
Yeah.
You know,
unreal.
And
congratulations, Mark.
No doubt.
What an achievement.
Yeah.
God.
And if that's not enough, he helped me incredibly as a songwriter. So he's written 16 million worth of songs, and he's helped other people to become better songwriters. He did it. He's not doing this anymore. It was called idocoach.com. However, even though he's not doing one-on-one coaching anymore, there are 2 books that you can get. One's called Song Journey, which is a songwriter's guide. And again, he helped me so much. And every time I sit down to write a song, I think about, what he said before I start, because it would be great if you could go, I want to go write a song. Most of the time you end up sitting there or eventually turning the TV or the stereo or something on and not ever writing. It comes to you. It's just like,
hits you in the
head, and you got to write it down or you're going to forget it. And so that's one tip, is always write them down. If you get a line, somebody tells you something and that'll be a song lyric, always write it down. But well worth it, in my opinion. And then Song Journey again is, and then Song Journal is the second And I would recommend this highly too. It's a daily song journal, 365 tips, tools, and takeaways. So it focuses you as a writer, because the mantra is supposed to be a writer always writes. You know, whether you're writing a song, you're writing a novel, you're writing a sermon for church, you're writing a lesson plan for teaching, whatever it is, you're always writing. And to me, the highest title you can give somebody is writer.
Yeah.
And Mark CAWLEY worldwide is known as a writer.
He's absolutely a great writer.
You know,
And
it's a
happy
privilege.
for him.
It's a privilege to,
Yeah,
you know,
to know somebody.
to know somebody that has had that much success.
Yeah.
And is still a dude. You know, he's still
Yeah.
a nice
Regular
guy that will
Yeah.
give us 20 minutes of his time.
Yeah.
To, you know, even though I screwed it up. I don't think I screwed it up. I think we made lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I hope we have done him justice through all of this.
He certainly deserves all the accolades.
Absolutely. And he told me that I was by far the best songwriter that he'd ever come across. And if he didn't collaborate with his wife, he would collaborate, you know, with me next time.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
he really did say that. Yeah. He really did say that, but it was in joking, you know, in a joking manner. But since we don't have the video,
Yeah.
But no, it was.
Yeah. He said that was the greatest songwriter you ever heard.
So yeah, we were just kidding around. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe. I didn't sing the song to start the show out this particular time.
Next time
we'll debut it at some point.
Yeah.
But dude, please hit the like, hit the subscribe. And hopefully we will have Mark on at some point.
Yeah.
Because
later on. Yeah.
Because I want to end with this. On top of everything else, he and his wife have written a children's book. And they're about to get it published. I think it was in Austria. I think a publishing house in Vienna, Austria, is about to publish the book. So hopefully we'll get Mark and his wife on when the book comes out to promote the children's book, because we got a bunch of people on here that have grandkids that would love to have a book that was from Mark CAWLEY.
Yeah.
I'm, just being real here. Yeah. Mark, if you can hit us with like a quarter a piece, 25 cents a piece per book for promoting. Oh, again, thank you everybody for watching. You playing anywhere this weekend? You got a private gig
in Ohio.
Yeah, private gig in Ohio.
Yeah,
it's part of their Midwestern tour.
Yeah,
Midwestern Hayride tour.
There you go.
All right, thank you all for watching. We'll be back on next Monday night. God willing, and the creek don't rise.
Yeah. Anything can happen here in Indiana.
Anything can happen here in Indiana. But one thing that always happens is Indiana rocks. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. It's a dark world.